These beautiful tarts in their golden brown crusts are very simple to make. These are lemon mousse tarts. The lemon mousse is topped with little thin slivers of candied lemon peel. So for our first tart, we're going to make something that I call Pâte Sucrée extra. It incorporates cold flour, cold butter, cold eggs, cold sugar, everything's cold, including, we just took this out of the refrigerator, the cold bowl of the food processor. We have everything chilled. 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I use unbleached flour. You're using 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. Quickly, just in a second or two, mix the sugar with the flour. And we're going to add 1 cup of butter. Look at that beautiful butter, all cut up into approximately 1/4 inch cubes. See that little tiny cube? Icy cold. And I'm pulsing. That's that. And then we're going to mix up the eggs with 4 tablespoons of ice water. And add this to your pastry. You can pour it right down the feed tube while you're pulsing. And look in the bowl. You can see that there's a big hole in the middle. That's good. And look how nice and yellow it is. It's really beautiful. So now this can be divided into 2. And looks a little crumbly, but it will come together very nicely as you press with the plastic wrap. Now see how when I press it, it's really holding together very, very nicely, and you can still see specks of that pretty unsalted butter. Wrap it like this and press it into your round. The flatter and rounder it is, the easier it is to roll out. Just common sense. Wrap this. Flatten it. Round it out. There. So in a very, very, very short time, you have enough for 2 gorgeous tarts. Get this into the fridge. And now I'm going to show you how to roll out this dough. Now, because of the sugar, you're going to need more flour for rolling than you thought. And just generously flour your surface. Roll quickly, turning constantly to keep it loose. Okay, your crust is ready. You can try to lift it, or you can roll it very quickly on your pin like this and drop it into your pan. Oh, relief. Even I get cracks in my pie crust. So here we go, right around, and you might want to reinforce the sides by pulling the top down a little bit and just making it a little bit thicker toward the bottom. So there, very nice. Just use your pin to roll off the top or your thumbs, and you have a very beautiful crust that you're going to put right back into the refrigerator to chill. And then we're going to blind bake it. So here's our chilled tart shell, nice and firm, nice and cold. So I'm going to use just the tines of a fork and dock carefully like this. This will prevent the bottom crust from puffing up. It'll keep it all more uniform and flat. Line this with your round of parchment and fill with beans or lentils or peas. I have these lentils, and they are not to be used for any other purpose than weighting down my pretty shells. That goes right into a preheated oven set at 375. Put it right in the center. Set your timer for 10 minutes. And now I'm going to show you how to make the filling for our tart. It is a light, airy lemon mousse. And we need 1 1/4 teaspoons of gelatin, softened in 2 tablespoons of cold water, which I have right here in this little saucepan. And you can dissolve it over a very, very low flame. And we also want the zest. I like lots of zest. So it's the yellow skin of a lemon. And squeeze 1/4 cup of freshly squeezed lemon juice. There, that's 1/4 cup. Yes. Add that right to your gelatin mix and stir carefully. Gelatin is completely dissolved and you want it to cool to a syrup-like consistency. And I'm doing that in a bowl that's set over a bowl of ice. And now we're going to beat 4 egg whites with granulated sugar. 1/2 cup of granulated sugar to be exact. Now reduce this to low and add your gelatin mixture. This is your stiffener as well as your flavoring, the lemon juice. And you can also add your lemon zest. This is your color. So very simple. Now you fold in some whipped heavy cream, 1/2 cup beaten to soft peaks. This is the enricher. Fold that in so it's completely mixed. And this gets poured right into your shell. Mound it up generously. Okay. Now get that into the fridge and chill for about 4 hours. While the tart is chilling, zest some lemon peel. Cook it in a thick sugar syrup made of 1/2 cup of water and 1 cup of sugar. Once dry, add the candied lemon peel to your tart. It's the perfect finishing touch. This tart, rectangular in shape, can be made in any size or shape. It is the Black Bottom Tart, filled with a thin layer of chocolate custard, topped with a rum-flavored vanilla custard, and decorated with whipped cream and chocolate curls. When I was growing up, we would sometimes be treated to what has become my favorite pie, the Black Bottom pie. And today I thought I'd turn it into a tart for you. So we've made the beautiful crusts. They are blind baked, cooling. Into a saucepan, put 1/2 cup of cold milk, 1/2 cup of sugar, and 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. And it's kind of an old-fashioned thickener. Stir this up. Now put this on the stove. And to this mixture, add scalded milk, 1½ cups. And the milk is still hot. And this mixture will come to a boil quickly, 3 minutes. So there, it's thickened up. Now it's time to temper your egg yolks by adding 3 tablespoons of this mixture to them. And beat that up. This is tempering them, warming them up so that they can then be added to the custard. Now we're going to add this to the rest of the custard in our middle bowl, which is going to be our double boiler. And you add your egg yolks. Stir that up and put this over simmering water for 3 to 4 minutes. That looks thick enough. And we have 1½ ounces of chocolate melted. And we're going to add 1 cup of this custardy mixture while it's still hot to the chocolate. Add 2 teaspoons of vanilla to the chocolate. And give it another stir. This will cool by the time you finish making the rest of the custard. And to our yellow custard, we're going to add gelatin and rum. This is 1 package of gelatin bloomed in 1/4 cup of water. Stir that up. 1 tablespoon rum. So now you can set this in a bowl of iced water. So just cool off the bottom of the bowl, and then I'm going to take it out while I beat my egg whites. To the egg whites, add a half a teaspoon of salt and a quarter teaspoon of cream of tartar. Gradually add a quarter of a cup of granulated sugar. These are nice and glossy and perfect for folding in your custard. It's cool enough to fold into your egg whites. You can put this in your ice water just to keep it chilly while you spread a layer of chocolate in your cooled crust. Okay, so a half of the chocolate in one and a half of the chocolate in the other. Well, you'll get 6 nice slices out of a tart. Make sure the entire bottom is covered with chocolate. So the chocolate is set. I put it back in the fridge just for a few minutes. And now put your cooled, rich, eggy, rummy custard right on top. So you want an even layer. Get that back into the refrigerator until the tarts are set. So now I am piping stiffly whipped sweetened cream on top of our Black Bottom Tarts. And look how extraordinarily beautiful it looks. I'm doing this one on an angle. I have whipped 2 pints of heavy cream with 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar, and they're almost ready to eat. And now on this one, I thought maybe I would just do stars. This is a very easy technique, and you can just use a simple star or a more complex star tip. Get this back into the fridge while you make some chocolate decorations for the top of the tart. Now, as you can see on the back of a newish cookie sheet, I have spread a very thin layer of melted chocolate. This is semi-sweet chocolate. Let this chill in the refrigerator, take it out, and then make curls or shards with the back of your scraper. And when you think you've done enough garnishing, get these back into the fridge and wait until it's time to serve your guests. They're going to love the Black Bottom Tart. The chocolate caramel tarts in front of me, a rich chocolatey, actually cookie crust, filled with caramel. You won't believe the flavor. And now I want to show you how to make a very different kind of crust. This crust is made in the bowl of an electric mixer. It is a deep, dark chocolate crust that's very, very good with the filling of caramel and chocolate ganache. You're going to like this tart a lot. Now, cream 1 stick of butter, quarter of a pound. And you're going to add half a cup and 1 tablespoon of confectioner's or 10x sugar. Cream that until it is nice and smooth. And to this, 1 egg yolk. 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. For the dry ingredients, sift together 1 1/4 cups of flour with 1/4 cup of Dutch processed cocoa. It makes a rich, rich chocolatey crust. So you add this to that, and you have your crust. Very simple. So wrap this up, flatten it out, and chill this until it's hard. And now we're going to roll out our dough, which we made earlier today. Now this dough, 1 batch, makes enough for a 9-inch tart or 6 4 1/4 inch tarts. So now we can attempt to roll this dough. It's been chilled. Use parchment paper and work between the parchment paper. Or you can use plastic wrap too. And roll this to about 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I'm going to put this back into the refrigerator to chill. Now the filling for these caramel ganache tarts, easy to make, really caramelly. You need 1/2 cup of water, 2 cups of granulated sugar, and 1/4 cup of corn syrup. This keeps the caramel from getting too hard. Put this on the stove and cook it until it turns a really beautiful amber color. Stir with a whisk until it starts to boil. And this process is going to take somewhere around 10 minutes. Adjust your heat so that it doesn't boil over. And now cut out your rounds of dough. And we should be able to get 6 rounds. Carefully lift up your rounds. So lay this down evenly in the tart shell and carefully press. Now this dough is getting a little bit soft. I suggest putting the filled tart shells right back in the refrigerator to chill hard before you dock and line them for baking. We have achieved our color. Take it off the fire, stir it, and add heavy cream, 1/2 cup. Now see, it does boil up a little bit, so be careful. You don't want it boiling up over you. It is very hot. And 1 stick of softened butter. Stir that in. Lots of steaming going on. And we have 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche. Creme fraiche adds rich creaminess and a kind of little bit of a tartness to this caramel. Stir that up, and you have a caramel sauce. So now let this cool, and we have some that's already cooled here. You can see how nice and shiny it is, how it moves around. Very nice caramel sauce. Now, very lightly dock the bottoms of your chocolate tarts. These shells are chilled and they are ready to be put into the preheated oven. And use the same kinds of weights to weight down your paper. Okay, so these are ready to go right into the oven. 325, 15 to 20 minutes. Set your timer. The chocolate caramel tart, topped with a chocolate ganache and molten sea salt. It goes very well with the caramel. And now it's time to fill the baked crusts. Pour 1/4 cup of the caramel into each shell. Now this has to sit in the refrigerator for about 45 minutes. And now to 3/4 cup of finely chopped semi-sweet chocolate, add 1/2 cup of boiled heavy cream. That melts the chocolate and makes your ganache. So see, that's your ganache. How simple. This will have to cool a little bit before we pour our ganache over the top of the chilled caramel. And so start in the center, and we're gonna pour a thin layer. We want this to be ultra smooth and glistening, and we do not want it to overflow. So now pick up your tart and kind of just move it around like this to coat the rest of the top of the tart. If it was chilled correctly, this will move. Can you see how it's going right to the edge of the crust? Finish pouring into your little tarts. Now, when this sets and gets hardened, then right before serving, just put a little bit of molten sea salt or flaky salt on each serving piece. It's amazing how well salt goes with this chocolate and with caramel. It just adds a little touch that is unique, and I think you'll like it.